Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm with Fitness is Medicine, and today I'm going to give you a workout you can do in your home using only a band and a set of dumbbells. The rest is body weight and just some space. So you don't really need much space for this. I'm doing it in my small little space right here, and it's just something to keep you moving and keep you going. So make sure you start with a good warm-up before you come into this workout. So if you needed to go do that, you can press pause, get your band, and get your set of dumbbells a little bit lighter on the dumbbells and maybe a little bit heavier on the band. So, all right, if you've done those things, let's get started. So we're gonna start over here. I've got my tubes set up with handles over here. We're gonna do a lat pull down. So, in order to pull something down from a higher point, you want to loop it through like a higher doorway or a higher railing of some sort. Lots of times it works to just kind of slam it in the door, the top of a door. But then to really be able to pull down, we'll need to probably sit on the floor. Otherwise, you could loop your band around and make it much shorter, so you could sit on a ball or sit on a chair or something. But we want to be pulling down from a higher source. So we're doing a lat pull down, which is working these big muscles in your back. So sit up nice and tall, keep your shoulders down away from your ears, and you're going to squeeze down, pulling your elbows down towards the floor, pulling those handles or your band towards your armpits. So you want to keep those shoulders down, thinking about moving those shoulder blades down and together. Remember to keep breathing. You want to take a breath before you start and then breathe out. And then you want to go nice and slowly both directions. So the faster you go, the more momentum you use and the less you work your muscles. So you want to go nice and slowly, really working those muscles through their full range of motion. Keep your back nice and tall throughout the entire sequence. And let's do 10 or 12 until you feel like you have got a good muscle burn going. If you don't feel like this is very hard, you could loop your band, like I said, or you can add another band to it to make it a little more difficult. This one uses some big muscle groups, so it can seem pretty easy if you don't have quite enough resistance. The other thing is if you don't have enough resistance, go more slowly. So the more slowly you go through and really focus on those big muscles in your back and using those shoulder blades that sit on your back like this and pulling down and together. Each time that you pull down, the more you envision those muscles working, the more muscle fibers you actually recruit. Okay, next we're gonna stand up and do reverse lunges. Now what I like about reverse lunges or backwards lunges is that it's much easier to stay in good alignment with your hips and your knees. So stand next to a kitchen countertop or a sturdy railing or even a kitchen chair for support. If you need to, you want to take a big step backwards and then sit your body straight down. So notice that my knees are staying. This knee is staying right over my heel and this knee is going straight down from my body. So we're going to alternate sides now. So big step backwards, straight down. Alternate sides. And if you do have knee pain with this, don't go down quite so far. You can do a smaller range of motion. Get that big step though, just a little range of motion, straight down. You don't want to go this way or this way. You want to go straight down, bending both of your knees at the same time. Big step back, bend both knees, keeping your chest up nice and tall, keeping your head facing forward. If this is really challenging to you, only do about 5 on a side. Remember to use something for support, because once you get that long stance, it can be also a balance challenge. So if you've got somewhere where you can hang on just a little bit, straight down, keep breathing. When you come up, also think about squeezing your glutes. Like I said, The more you think about using muscles, the more they will engage. So if you think about squeezing your glutes when you come up, they'll engage more. Okay, we're gonna do this one, and then one more on each side. Straight down, keeping your weight in that front heel. Okay, good. So next we're gonna grab that set of dumbbells I talked about, and we're gonna do lateral raises with an emphasis on your rear delt. So your deltoid is this muscle here in your shoulder, and you've got kind of 3 heads of it. So like your anterior, your middle, and your rear. So many times the rear deltoid is a little bit weaker. You know, we lift things out here all the time. So our anterior shoulder gets really strong. We want to keep our entire shoulder strong, working on that rotator cuff, working on that shoulder stability so that we can avoid injury. Working on that posterior delt can help to keep it strong and keep our shoulder capsules stable. So I'm going to stand in a tandem stance. I'm going to lift these dumbbells out to the side, but not very far. So you see I'm not even quite in a perpendicular state here. So I've turned my dumbbells down like I'm gonna, like if they're full of liquid, like I'm gonna dump them out. So turning them so the dumbbells are right facing my hips here, and then just up like that. So I'm taking my pinkies out towards the sides of the room. Now this is quite a bit harder than your average shoulder raise where you lift it here or here, because those are where our muscles tend to be stronger from our day-to-day life. So we're working on those muscles that might not get as much attention so that we can keep that strong and avoid injury. So nice and slowly, both directions. If you feel like you're kind of hiking it out there, grab a lighter set of dumbbells. So, and also if this tandem stance is too much, just stand with your feet about shoulder width apart. And we're gonna do it about 10 times. I think this is probably about 10. I've done them quite a few times here. And my muscles are getting tired. Okay, those are posterior deltoid lateral raises. All right, next we're gonna do a little more balance. So I'm gonna have you stand on one foot, and I want you to transfer your weight forward, and then swing back and transfer your weight back. So these weight transfers are important for our balance. Spending time on one foot, you know, as you walk, you spend time on one foot while the other one changes position. And keeping these in kind of a nice straight line can be really challenging. If it's too hard to keep them in a straight line for the weight shifts, spread your feet apart a little bit. So instead of being here and then back, nice and slowly too. The key here is going slowly. Then you can widen that stance. So the wider your stance is, the easier it is to control. So if you want to step here and then step here, that's going to be easier to control and not quite as challenging if you do feel like you're really losing your balance. But if you can, try straight forward and then straight back with that weight shift. And you really want to shift your weight. We're not just moving your foot forward and back. I want you to shift your weight to that foot and then back. All right, now we're going to switch feet. So start with the other foot. I'm going to go forward and then back nice and slowly. And again, if this is really challenging, do it next to a counter or, you know, a sturdy kitchen chair, somewhere where you can hang on, get a little assistance if you need it. Really shift that weight to that other foot. If this is really not very challenging for you, slow it down even further. Really slow it down. The other thing you can do is add like balance discs or pillows even, like throw pillows from your couch if you don't mind stepping on them. I'll show you with my balance discs. I only have 2 here. In my gym, I have some smaller ones, and if you are watching, you know what I'm talking about. So you can even just use 2 like this, these balance discs. These are really blown up and they're extra hard. So I'm going to just kind of shift my weight forward and back. I don't have a 3rd one to add here, but I can use just 2 to shift my weight forward and back. If you find the one on the floor to be not challenging, then you can add things like that to create more of a challenge for yourself. If you need more ideas, just send me a message and I can send you some other ideas as well. Okay, next we're going to lower to the floor. And we're going to do some bridge holds. So, on your back, I'm going to make sure my camera, okay. All right, so on your back, we've done these in the past. Remember the key here is to lie down with your feet pulled up towards your hips, knees bent. You want to flatten your back to that mat and then lift your hips towards the ceiling. Now, I'm going to have you hold this for a good count of 5. So as you're doing this, really think about squeezing your glutes. You don't necessarily have to think about pressing your hips as high as you can to the ceiling. I don't want you arching your back. Each time you come down, flatten your back to the floor. Think about engaging those core muscles and then squeezing your glutes. So it's quite a lot to think about if you're doing them correctly and properly. Okay, come down. Remember, flatten your back to that mat. That engages your core to protect your back. Squeeze those glutes. Also, my weight is in my heels here. I want your weight in your heels. You're working your hamstrings here and your glutes. And come down. If you do get a hamstring cramp doing these, which can be pretty common, straighten out your leg. Release that hamstring. And then you can hold that as long as you need to while we go on. All right, flatten your back. Press those hips up, squeezing those glutes. Remember to keep breathing through these entire, it can be kind of hard to remember to breathe on top of all these other things. Flatten your back, squeeze those glutes, weights in your heels. I think that was 6, I don't know. We'll do 4 more. Flatten your back, press up. The longer you hold it, the more muscle fibers have to engage to keep you there. But if you're having back pain, come back down, really flatten that back, and then go back up. You can keep your hands here beside your hips for stability. Flatten your back, go on up. Or you can keep them on your tummy, wherever you're comfortable with your hands. It's not crucial that you hold them anywhere during this one. 2 more. Nice deep breath. Come down, flatten your back. Really, really focusing on it for our last one here. Pressing those hips up, squeezing those glutes. And release. All right, good. Those are bridge holds. And if you find those are not very challenging, you can hold them even longer. So the next time through, you can even press pause while we do that exercise and do 10-second holds or 15-second holds. Sometimes I'll have people hold them for just hold it for 30 seconds, but you can choose how that's feeling to you. I can really feel that in my hamstrings, so I'm assuming that you can too. Okay, now we're going to lie on our side since we're already on the floor. You can use a pillow here to keep your head in line. Many times I'll give people a pillow in the gym so that they're not laying here like this. I don't want your neck out of alignment, but if you're comfortable putting your elbow here, that's okay. So bring your heels up towards your hips. We're going to do clamshells. So this is a really good hip stabilizer and glute activator. So you want to keep your hips stacked and your shoulders stacked. When you bring that knee up, don't open up your hips here too. You want to keep everything stacked. You're keeping your hips stacked. Almost, sometimes if people are having trouble with it, I'll tell them to kind of overcompensate, like think about rolling forward, even though you're not really rolling forward, but that can kind of feel like that if you're having trouble keeping those hips stacked. The more you keep your hips in line, the more your glutes are just engaging and you're not substituting with other muscles. Nice and slowly, both directions. You'll also notice that this is not a very large range of motion when you're in the proper form. So if you're getting way out here, it means you're opening up your hips. You want to keep those hips closed, keep them stacked. All right, good. Now we're going to switch sides. Refresh my camera here. Lie down on your other side. You can lie on your elbow or use a pillow. Bring your feet up all the way towards your heels, or your heels all the way towards your hips. And then open up those knees, keeping your feet together. It's really targeting your glutes here, which can be really weak in a lot of people. And when your glutes are weak and they're not engaging properly, it can result in injury. You can end up with hamstring strains and IT band tightness and lots of different things when you don't have that muscle balance that is required to keep us healthy. Nice and slowly, both directions, keeping those hips stacked. 2 more, and 10. Good. Okay. If you feel like after that you want to release your hips a little, this is a really good stretch to do that. So you reach through, you can put your ankle up on your opposite knee and reach through and hold. If you're unable to do that, you can also use a stretch strap to kind of pull through under your knee here, but this kind of really stretches this out and releases those glutes and releases your piriformis and gets a little of your IT band here as well. All right, switch sides. Take a deep breath, hold. Each time you do a stretch, you want to hold it for about 30 seconds. When you first start to stretch, your muscles kind of guard against it to begin with, and you'll feel that if you really focus on it. And it takes about 20 seconds for that muscle to relax into that stretch. So holding it for at least 30 seconds can be a really good way to really achieve that good stretch you're looking for. All right, good. Now follow it with the rest of your stretches if you're finished. If not, you can go ahead and restart, kind of rewind to the beginning and do them all a couple more times through, get a good full body workout, and then remember to stretch at the end, do a good cool down, and just keep moving. So thank you, everybody. Remember to subscribe to my channel, like my videos, comment. You can send me any questions you might have, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and keep moving. You're doing great.